Good morning and welcome. Leo Bray here on behalf of Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center in Palm Springs. Usual reminders, invitations, visit us online at urbanyoga.org or Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook to check out the class schedule and stop by the tip jar where you can make contributions to support our classes on Zoom and YouTube here. And today we're going to be focusing during practice on the concept of Ahimsa, non-harming, non-violence. So the movement practice that we do here, what's in the US called yoga, is one of 8 limbs of the practice. And it's the one we focus on the most, and that's kind of what our culture has done with this older and more involved practice. And we talk about meditation, that's another limb. We do pranayama, breath work, that's another limb. And there are other ones that we touch on even less. But the first limb is called yamas. And the first of the yamas is this non-violence, non-harming, ahimsa. And I won't go too deep into it in this brief class, but we'll focus during the class on not harming ourselves. In the broader sense, nonviolence is threefold. It's nonviolence in action, nonviolence in speech, and nonviolence in thought. And so that's something to reflect on and maybe read up on some more and continue to practice. It's something that I struggle with, not in the action, sometimes in the speech, and even more often in the thought. So it seems to me the closer in it gets, the trickier the practice is. So we'll talk about the physical part of it today and some of the mental. And we'll start out with a nice grounding posture, bringing the soles of the feet together. Maybe I'll give the side views more helpful. Come down onto the forearms, down onto the back. If you've got yoga blocks, you might bring them within reach. You can use your blocks to take the weight of your legs. And if it's easier for you to come onto your back and then bring your feet together, that's fine too. And if it's not comfortable to have your feet together and your knees splayed, you might just rest the soles of your feet on the ground and let your knees lean in towards each other. Your hands could rest on the floor or on your body if you like. Sometimes it's nice to have a hand on your heart and feel your heartbeat. Maybe a hand on your belly, feel the movement of your breathing. I'm partial to having one hand in each spot, which can also add to the grounding feeling. Maybe it feels more grounding to you to have your hands on the ground, or maybe it's more grounding to have your hands rest on your body. Close your eyes if you like. Find your comfortable stillness. Let your breath slow down. Let your breaths get deeper. And starting right here, we can think about this non-harming, non-violence. So check in with how your posture feels. Are you doing the first posture I said because you think that's the right thing to do, even though it's causing a twinge somewhere? Are you taking care of yourself so far? Sometimes expectations that we place on ourselves get in the way of listening to the body. Notice what's going on with your body. Check in with yourself, scan your body. Really feel if your choice of starting posture is comfortable for you. And if it's not, change it, move around. I said we were going to come to a comfortable stillness. We're never really still. There's always movement. There's the movement of the breath. And we can always have adjustments. We can always change position because comfortable is often a moving target. What was comfortable a minute ago might not be as comfortable now. Change it. Find comfortable again. And sometimes we do a mental violence to ourselves if we start to beat ourselves up. Why can't I put my feet together and let my knees splay apart? It looks so easy when I see someone else do it. Newsflash, everything looks easy when you watch someone else do it, right? That's not news. Any aches or pains that you do notice as you inventory your body here, make notes of them so that you can keep them in mind as we practice. And please remember that you are welcome to skip or modify anything that I'm doing, especially in order to take care of any such issues that are going on. It doesn't serve us to get mad at ourselves, get mad at our body for being stiff or being sore. Could instead think of sending some TLC to that little twinge, that little tight place. Think of sending your breath there. And before we start to move around here, let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth with a sighing sound. Now, if you do have your knees splayed, your feet together, it's good to let your arms help your legs come out of that posture. Bring your hands to the outside of your knees or thighs and gently nudge your knees towards each other so the soles of your feet land on the mat. And if you had your blocks in play down there, you could move them out of the way. They will definitely be in the way of some twists we're going to do next. Take a nice energizing twist for Monday morning here. You reach your arms to the sides. Feel your shoulder blades press to the floor. And think about keeping your shoulders on the floor. Cross your left ankle above your right knee. Make a figure 4 shape with your legs. And let your legs fall to the right. Turn your head to the left. And I really mean let them fall. Don't push your legs over. Just let them go. See if you can keep your shoulders grounded. And don't worry about how far those legs go. So it can be tempting here to push your knee and your foot to the floor and see how deep you can go. Try to go as far as you can. We don't need to do any of that. Just let the legs fall and let the twist happen instead of trying to make it happen. And that doesn't just go for the legs, it goes for the head. So you want to turn your head towards the left. Maybe that's a little, maybe that's a lot. But don't make it be a lot. Let it be what it'll be. Come slowly back up to center. Cross your legs the other way. And we'll twist the other way. Just let your legs fall to the left. Turn your head gently to the right. Aiming to keep the shoulders grounded. And even the wording we use, aiming to keep the shoulders grounded, it allows for missing the mark. It's okay if the shoulder lifts and doesn't really want to go back down. That's why I say aiming. This is not drill practice. I'm not here to bark orders. Maybe your shoulders stay down, maybe they don't quite. Slowly come back to center. Uncross your legs. Draw your knees towards your chest and hug your knees. Rock and roll on your back. Any movement that feels good. And let's just nice and gently make our way up to sitting. So if you reach your arms overhead and let the weight of your legs tip to one side, you land in a fetal position. And you can plant your hand and gently press up to a seat. Your seating position doesn't have to look like mine. Find a seated position that's comfortable to you. However you're sitting, feel that grounding contact. Think about the length of your spine. So you're tall, but not stiff, not rigid, not forcing it. Let your chin fall towards your chest. And start some slow, gentle circles with your head. Roll your ear towards your shoulder and let your head tip back. And just go as slow as you can stand it. Maybe even pause if you find a tight spot and rock back and forth on a tight spot. Pay a little more attention to that area. At some point, change the direction of your circles. Take a few going the other way. And when you finish the next circle, look forward again, lift your chin. Bring your hands out to the side, rest your fingertips on the floor so your spine stays nice and long. Inhale, lift your left arm up alongside your ear. Exhale, reach to your right, lean into the right hand. Let your head be wherever your neck is comfortable. Feeling for length from left hip up through left fingertips. Try to keep left butt cheek on the ground. Sometimes we start to rock off of our seat. Lose some grounding there. Inhale to come upright. Exhale, we'll come into a twist. Float your left hand to the ground behind you. Bring your right hand to your left leg. Inhale, feel your spine lengthen up. Exhale, invite yourself to twist a little more. Remember, not harming yourself. Just see if there's room to go further. You don't have to go as far as you can. Maybe going as far as you can is a bad idea. Find a sufficient twist. How much feels like enough? Let yourself unwind. Come back through center. Inhale, raise your right arm. Exhale, reach to the left. Think of sending your breath into your right side. With an inhale, come upright. As you exhale, come into that twist the other way. Inhale, find length again. Exhale, find your twist. And maybe you get to the place that is enough twist really soon. Just take some more breaths there. It doesn't have to keep deepening. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. One side might not go as far as the other. Don't make it go as far. Let yourself unwind, come back to center. And take a real simple forward fold. Just rest your hands in front of you and walk them forward. Don't even think about what it looks like. Just walk your hands out to wherever you can. Let your neck go. Let it disengage. Let your head hang down. And walk your hands back in towards you. Press yourself up to a seat. Make your way up onto your hands and knees. Hips above the knees, shoulders above the wrist, hands opened up, so feel your whole palms on the floor. Inhale, bring your heart forward, let your head and tailbone go up. Exhale, bring your heart up, let your head and tailbone come down. And just think about moving the heart. Let the other parts follow the movement. By moving your heart up and down, the curves of your spine will just allow your head and tail to float up and down. After your next exhale, come back to table with your spine neutral. Reach back with your left foot, press into the ball of your foot. Take a couple breaths, feel your leg lengthen, feel your hip opening and settling. With your next inhale, pick your foot up, reach straight back. If that's too much, leave your foot on the ground. Feel your core go to work. Keep breathing. With your next inhale, reach your right arm to the side. Core goes to work even more. Maybe you let your foot down to stabilize if this is too much. If you like, bend your leg, reach back, see about taking a bind. And if you can't connect with grabbing your foot or your ankle, let it go. You can reach back without grabbing on. It's still helpful. And release and lower down. Reach back and press into your right foot for a couple breaths. Inhale, pick your foot up and reach straight back. Staying with your breath. On an inhale, reach your left arm to the side. If you like, bend your knee and reach back and see about taking that bind. Lifting your knee, lifting your chin, opening the midline and the shoulder and stretching the quads. Release and lower down. Step your left foot up between your hands and step your right foot up to meet it. Hang out in forward fold, keeping some bend in your knees, maybe a little, maybe a lot. Sway back and forth, alternately bending and straightening each leg. So maybe your hands rest on the ground or gently drag across the ground. Maybe they're hanging in the air, resting on yoga blocks, or pressing to your legs, or clasping your elbows. Lots of options. Let your head and your arms hang down heavy. Gently shake your head no. And nod your head yes. Inhale, lift up halfway. Press your hands to your legs. Feel for the crown of your head moving forward away from your tailbone. Exhale, relax down. Soft knees, let your legs do the work. Inhale, roll up to standing, hands up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Let your hands hang at your sides. Lift your left shoulder towards your ear. Shift it back and let it down. And then your right shoulder up and back and down. Inhale, reach out toward the walls. Exhale, reach for your shoulder blades and hug yourself. Or if you like, you can take eagle arms, intertwine your arms and press your palms together. If you're taking eagle, then you can lift your elbows and hands away from you. Inhale to open up again. As you exhale, cross your arms the opposite way, reach for your shoulder blades, or take your eagle. Breathe into the big space between your shoulder blades. Inhale to open up. Exhale, let your arms come down. Inhale your arms out and up overhead. Interlace your fingers. Flip your palms up and look up at your hands and lift up your heart. Inhale, bring yourself upright. Exhale, bend to the right. Try not to lift your left heel. We'll let your left shoulder curl forward past your ear. Inhale to come upright. And exhale to bend to your left. Keeping your right heel down and your right shoulder back. Pardon me. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, let your arms come down. Inhale your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands, step one foot back and then the other. We come to plank. If a shorter plank serves you better, let your knees down, make that shorter plank. Let your hips come down in line with your knees and your shoulders, or your heels and your shoulders, depending on your plank. With an exhale, slowly come down. See how slow you can go? Keep your elbows in close. Don't stop breathing. Let everything down. Release your feet. Press into your hands. Inhale, lift your head and chest. Only as high as it feels okay in your low back. So these are all heart openers. Anything from here through here, we call cobras. If we get to here, lift the knees, it's upward facing dog. They're all heart openers. So the heart's doing the same in any of those positions. Exhale, rock back, pass through table. Curl your toes under. Press into your feet to lift your knees. Press into your hands to lift your tail, downward facing dog. And pedal your feet up and down. Heels growing, getting closer to the floor. And don't strain something to get them closer. Just move them up and down. They will get closer. A lot of people get hung up on getting their heels on the ground. Don't even make that a goal. It's a direction, not a destination. Closer, lower, exploring, lengthening those leg muscles. Inhale, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step your feet forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, come down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold down. Plant your hands and step back to plank. This time, exhaling lower, just halfway. Drop your knees if you like. Inhale, bring your heart forward, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, back and up to downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees and look forward. Exhale, step your feet forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, come down. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Just one more time and we'll take a break on this one. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, down. Step back to your plank. If you want, you could go right from your plank to your downward facing dog. Otherwise, exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, bring your heart forward. Exhale, back and up. And take 3 cleansing breaths in this downward dog. Let your knees come down, and we'll come to child's pose. Bring your big toes together. If you like, send your knees further apart. If your knees bother you, you can take care of them by keeping them closer together, whichever feels better. Sit back towards your heels. Walk your hands forward. Let your head come down. So options here. We want your neck to disengage, so we want your head supported. If your head doesn't reach the floor, you might stack your hands and rest your forehead on the back of your hand. Or bring a yoga block under your forehead or a pillow. And to let your arms and shoulders disengage more, maybe you reach your hands back by your feet if you're not using your hands to support your head. And back to the mode we started in, just let your breath take over and just notice what's going on in your body. Just observing what's happening, not trying to make anything happen. When you're breathing in, your upper body is expanding. Belly is pressing to your thighs. When you're breathing out, maybe there's a sensation of lowering and settling back and down through the hips. But this isn't about pushing your tailbone down. It's just feeling the action of the breath. And just thinking about the hips will sometimes bring some more release and a little movement. When you think about these bigger breaths, you tend to do more belly breathing and more diaphragm movement, and that can help the hips open. A lot of folks in child's pose like to slowly rock the head, like massaging your forehead back and forth. I actually don't like it, but a lot of people do, so I offer it. I listen to my body. My neck doesn't like when I do that, but I know many people really like that. So I put it out there for you. If your hands are reaching back, reach them forward again. And inhale, come up onto your hands and knees. We'll just gently and briefly go back for one more downward dog. Curl your toes under, press into your feet to lift your knees, press into your hands and lift your tail. And walk your hands back to your feet. A little variety, a little different transition to come out of the last one. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll play with a little balancing today, just one balancing pose today. And we'll go even more gently than I usually do. Non-harming, right? Non-violence. I really like to think of the more challenging postures as something to play with as opposed to something to work on. So we will play with tree pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Set your eyes on something at eye level that won't move. And shift your weight from one leg to the other with your feet planted. So there are different ways to come into any posture. We'll take the gentlest one I know for this one. Bring the weight into your left leg. Let the knee stay soft and responsive. Turn your right toes out to the side so your feet are roughly perpendicular. And it's okay to glance down and see how they're lined up. And slowly draw the foot in. Bring your heel up onto your left ankle. So you're resting on the ball of your foot or resting on your toes or both. So that could be tree pose right there. Maybe you bring the sole of your foot onto your calf, if it's okay for you. So let the left knee stay bouncy. Make sure you're breathing. Let the right knee keep dialing out to the side. You might just check in with where the knee is. Not push it, not force it. Your hands can stay here, or the branches of your tree can grow out. And you can always do standing postures next to a wall or your desk or something, and there's some support. And if you keep your hands here, this is nicely steadying. So whatever kind of tree you want to be. And maybe it's a tree in the breeze, or maybe it's a tree that's more still. And anytime you can put the foot down and pick it up again. Anytime you can grab your support. You can clear your throat. If your hands are elsewhere, bring them back to your heart. Pivot your knee forward. Let your foot down. Shake your left leg and anything else that you want to shake. Some of us like to do a full body kind of shake. I shake my face. Bring your hands back to your heart when you're ready. Shift back and forth. Reset your eyes. Reset your hips. Reground your feet. Shift back and forth as many times as you want. When you're ready, bring the weight to your right leg. Let that knee be soft. Turn your left toes out. Slide your left foot in and up to what degree works for you. I didn't even mention it or do it on the first side. Sometimes over time we get to the point where we want to go beyond this and we bring the foot to the thigh. Just don't ever want to press sideways on the knee, because you can really mess your knee up by pressing it on the wrong axis. And don't get hung up about getting your foot to your thigh. Let your arms find whatever expression they want. And talking about Ahimsa today is a good place to insert this little story about tree pose and the foot on the thigh. I gave up on getting my foot on my thigh. I hadn't tried it in 6 months. And I was offering tree pose in a class. And I said something like, you might put your foot on your thigh. Mine never stays there. And then it stayed there. And the student said, I thought you said you couldn't do that. To which I replied, you saw it here first. That's the first time. So even doing a lower tree pose like this with the foot on the calf, over time, the posture kept developing for me, and it led to being able to keep my foot on my thigh. Bring your hands back to your heart if they're elsewhere, and bring your knee forward and let your foot down and shake things out. And some days my foot doesn't want to stay on my thigh still. Sometimes it's about what you're wearing or how much sweat there is on your body. Come down and have a seat. So there are other concerns in postures too, beyond just what's going on in your body internally. It can be things like having a sweaty leg and you're wearing shorts, or having really slippery leggings on. Extend your legs forward, flex your feet towards you. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold down over your legs. If your knees want to bend, please let them bend. Trying to press the backs of your legs to the floor. That's not Ahimsa. You can hyperextend your legs doing that. You don't want to hurt any calves or hamstrings. We're looking to get some release in the lower back here. That's what we're feeling for. You can tune into the breath to maybe deepen the fold a bit. As you inhale, think of the crown of your head reaching forward. As you exhale, think of lowering down. It's tempting to grab your legs or your feet and use your arm to pull yourself down. That's not nonviolence. You can strain things that way too. Sure, you can fold deeper. Getting away from this cultural thing of bigger, better, faster, more. Why the extremes? So much middle ground that's neglected. Inhale, slowly walk your hands up your legs and sit up. Bring the soles of your feet together like we did at the beginning. Make sure there's a big space between your heels and your pelvis. So have your feet as far away from you as you can and still have them together and on the floor. Now, if there's room for you to do so, reach under your ankles and grab the floor. If there isn't room, reach over your ankles and grab the floor. Either way is fine. Walk your hands forward and let your neck disengage. It's mostly the same posture whether your arms are above or under your ankles. If they're under, you do get some more action in your shoulders and your triceps as you grab the floor and reach forward. So some difference, but for what it does for your back, it's roughly the same experience. Forward folds too, by the way, in addition to the mechanical things they help us with, energetically, forward folds help alleviate depression. And depression takes many forms. It doesn't have to be a clinical diagnosis. It could be seasonal affective disorder. It could be a more fleeting mood you've got going on. You might have some going on and not be consciously aware of it. Inhale, slowly walk your hands back and sit up. Let your arms push your knees towards each other. Bring your feet in a little closer. So firmly plant the soles of your feet. Really feel heels, toes, balls of the feet pressing to the floor. Reach your hands forward. Sit back as far as you can without tipping over or lifting your feet. And it doesn't matter what angle that is. I'm going to play with a little core work here before we lie down and cool down. Give yourself whatever breaks and help you need. Lift your feet a little, take a couple breaths. If you want, you can always grab your legs with your hands. Let your arms help your legs. Think of the highest you can lift your feet and go halfway there. Lift your feet as high as you can. Take a couple breaths. You can always take hold. You can always put your feet down. Lower halfway for a couple of breaths. Lower most of the way, not all the way if you can help it. Take a couple breaths. Let your feet down. Plant your hands out here past your hips. Wiggle your feet out by the edges of your mat or a little wider than your shoulders if you're not on a mat. It's okay if you don't have a mat. Let your knees go back and forth to whatever degree they want to. So my knees go all the way down. They used to not do that. Just let your knees go where they want to go. See how much of this movement your hips want. I used to see people do this with their knees touching the ground and think, no way in hell can I do that. And at the time it was right. But some weeks later, maybe months later, I don't remember now how long it took. One day my knees started to tap the ground. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if they never get there. We're all built differently. We've all got different histories going on in these different bodies of ours. I spoke of rocking back and forth on your forehead in child's pose. Maybe the reason it doesn't feel good to me is that I've had a disc removed from my spine and two of my vertebrae fused together. Vertebrae fused together. If you haven't had that, I hope you haven't. Bring your feet closer together. Give a profile view. Scoot towards your heels. Come down onto your forearms, down onto your back. You reach your heels as close to you, as close to your butt as they'll go. Press into the soles of your feet and inhale, lift your hips up to come into bridge pose. We'll take a few breaths at the top, come down if you need to. If you want to deepen the heart opener here, you can wriggle your shoulder blades towards each other under you. You can clasp your hands and reach your knuckles towards your heels. You don't have to do any of that, but maybe you like to. Many folks do. Check in with your neck. Whether you're doing the bind or not, let your neck be relaxed. Sometimes we scrunch our neck up here. It doesn't help. That's harming the neck. I don't know why we do it, but it's a very common thing. If you're clasping your hands, release them. Exhale, slowly let your hips down. And explore bridge in the way that suits you. Inhale to lift up and exhale to come down. To make it more challenging, go higher or go slower, or take additional breaths at the top. To make it less challenging, you might take additional breaths at the bottom, but listen to your body. Find your bridge. You might be tempted to do what you did last time you did this, but maybe today that's not what feels right. See what your body wants today. Every practice is an exploration. Every day is different. Let the next exhale down be the last one, and just pause for a couple breaths after you land. Draw your knees up towards your chest, hug your knees, rock and roll gently, massaging your back against the floor. With the various supine twists that we do, and I was taught to always do supine twists near the end of practice. I think the gentlest one is the simplest one. With the knees drawn in towards the chest, reach your arms to the sides. Now, before you even move here, as you come into the twist, the closer your knees are to your chest, the deeper the twist will feel. So use the position of the knees to regulate the sensation for you. If it feels like too much, you can relax the legs. Bringing the knees further from the chest will make the twist feel less intense. Aiming to keep the shoulders on the ground, let your legs fall to the left and turn your head to the right. And likewise, if a deeper twist would feel better for you, you can bring your knees in closer. And you're just letting your breath wring you out. So maybe you feel your knees dip a little lower. For each exhale, not pushing them down, just letting them go, letting breath and gravity take care of it. Slowly come up through center and just let the movement continue. So your knees go over the right and your head goes to the left. Slowly come back to center. Reach your feet towards the ceiling. Reach your hands up, take hold of your legs or your feet in whatever way works for you, and play with bending and straightening your arms and legs, whatever movement you like. Allowing your feet and your legs to drain by bringing them higher than your heart. No, there's no wrong way to explore movement. And maybe as you lie here, rocking around, you feel a need for some other movement or posture before making your way to Shavasana. Feel free to go ahead and explore whatever might be calling you. Maybe there's something you like to do in your practice that we didn't do. Maybe it's something you had in mind from the start, or maybe it's something your body's telling you now. We each have our own practice on our own mat. It doesn't have to be the same. There are common threads, some common goals and intentions. Honor your own experience and allow it to be different. When you feel complete with inverting and anything else you want to weave into your practice, make your way to your final resting pose. You might even end practice in the same posture you began, or you might choose the traditional corpse pose with your legs extended, your feet splayed apart, your hands resting out past your hips. But you can conclude practice in any posture where you're comfortable. So if corpse pose isn't comfortable, don't force yourself to remain in corpse pose. That's not relaxing. That's not ahimsa. I've seen people conclude their practice, slowing down, breathing, integrating the benefits of their work in child's pose or with their legs up on the wall or sitting. Lots of different options. Get comfortable. Close your eyes if you like. Maybe you simply focus on your breathing. Maybe you reflect on this notion of non-harming, non-violence, recalling how it served you in practice today, how it reframed some familiar postures and movements. Maybe it's been food for thought and it's already got you thinking of how you might carry this practice, this attitude off your mat and into the rest of your day, extending your practice. Is the eightfold, eight-limb path of yoga is not just about what you do on your mat, it's about how you live. Especially when we start looking at things like the yamas and the niyamas and meditation, these other limbs outside of the movement posture practice. Maybe you just let your mind wander. Ahimsa is sometimes a challenging thing. I spoke of this as we started today. It starts with ourselves, with being kind to ourselves, with not harming ourselves in thought or in speech or in action. By cultivating this for ourselves, we can learn to practice it with others, between and amongst the others in our lives. The goal of Ahimsa is stated along the lines of creating an atmosphere in which others can release their hostility. So by being a non-violent, non-harming person, we facilitate others being that way. We open the space, we create an invitation and an example. It's in line with the admonishment of be the change you want to see in the world. Start to find some deeper breaths. Not forcing these either, inviting them, allowing them. Let your body slowly and gently move around bit by bit. Let your movements gradually grow bigger. Whatever movements your body seems to want. As you're ready for bigger movements, moving mindfully, listening to your body, you can gently sit yourself up. And when you're ready, bring your hands up by your heart. Thank you for sharing practice today. The light within me sees and honors that light within you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Again, please visit us online at Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook or urbanyoga.org via the web browsers. And check out the class schedule, visit the tip jar. And for those on YouTube, feel free to leave comments or questions. Feedback is always welcome. That goes for the folks here with me in the moment as well. Have a wonderful day.